Welcome to the Classic Soap Operas podcast. If you're looking for a real shortcut to understanding daytime TV history, well, you're definitely in the right place today. We are diving deep into the story behind a show that really dared to be different, The Edge of Night, or Eonin, as people called it. I mean, this was the one that swapped out the usual weeping love triangles, that kind of domestic stuff,
Right.
for hard-hitting murder cases, relentless courtroom intrigue, pure crime drama suspense, and, those deep small-town secrets.
Oh, absolutely. It wasn't just a little different. It was like structurally and thematically completely out there for its time. A real outlier.
And it lasted for so long.
Something 3 decades. From 1956 right through to 84. That's, what, over 400 episodes produced? Just an incredible volume.
Wow.
And the whole time, it was doing this this balancing act, blending that deep soap opera emotion, the family ties, the romance, with this really persistent kind of noir-ish crime drama suspense.
And the fans it attracted. That list really tells you something, doesn't it? It wasn't just the typical daytime audience.
Not at all. The sources mention people like P.G. Wodehouse, the writer.
Yeah.
Bette Davis, Tallulah Bankhead, even Eleanor Roosevelt, apparently.
That's amazing. You've got literary giants, screen legends, a first lady, all tuning in daily for a mystery serial.
It says a lot, right? They weren't tuning in for, the standard soap fare. They were there for the smart plotting, the compelling legal drama.
So that's our mission for this deep dive then, to really get into what made it tick.
Exactly. We need to explore how it even came about, that unique concept.
Right.
How they managed to keep that crime angle believable for decades. Look at some of those iconic storylines.
Yeah.
And the whole dramatic business side of things that led to that, well, that unprecedented cliffhanger ending.
Okay, let's dive in. Starting right at the beginning. Eoin hits the airwaves on CBS April 2nd, 1956, and right away it's doing something new alongside another show.
Yeah. As the World Turns, both were Procter & Gamble shows, and they launched together. And this was a huge shift.
Because of the length, right.
Exactly. Before 56, all daytime serials were just 15 minutes long. There were these little concentrated bursts of drama.
Designed around maybe one emotional conflict, quick cliffhanger, commercial break.
Precisely. Tight and focused. But Eon and As the World Turns were the first half-hour serials on TV. And that extra 15 minutes, it wasn't just more time. It fundamentally changed everything.
How so? What did that extra time allow?
Well, the old 15-minute format, it really relied on those dramatic close-ups, single-scene cliffhangers.
Sure.
With half-hour, you could have multiple scenes. You could transition between storylines.
And crucially for Edge of Night, you actually had the time needed to, lay out evidence, follow police work, stage proper courtroom scenes.
Things that just take narrative time. You can't rush a cross-examination into 2 minutes.
Right. Which brings us to the original idea behind the show. It wasn't pulled out of thin air.
No, not at all. It was explicitly meant to be the daytime television version of Perry Mason.
Which was already massive, right? Radio, books.
Huge franchise.
Yeah.
P&G and CBS saw that audience, people who loved procedural crime, and they wanted them tuning in during the afternoon.
But, and this is a key piece of soap history, the creator of Perry Mason himself was involved initially then. Wasn't. What happened there? That famous rift?
Yeah, Earl Stanley Gardner. He was initially on board to develop it, write it, but he backed out pretty late in the game.
Why?
It boiled down to a fundamental clash over what the show should be. CBS network brass insisted that because it was daytime, their Perry Mason character had to have a steady love interest.
To, as the source says, placate daytime soap opera audiences.
Exactly. They thought romance was mandatory for the afternoon slot. Gardner completely rejected that. He felt any kind of serious romance would just distract his brilliant, logical lawyer from solving the case.
Interesting. His Mason was married to the job.
Totally. He didn't want him bogged down in domestic squabbles. It had to be about the puzzle, the pursuit of justice.
And Gardner, holding firm on that, basically changed TV history, because he eventually did agree to the primetime Perry Mason show in '57, which didn't have those constraints.
Right. But it left the daytime project suddenly without its main character concept. It was a big problem.
So how did they pivot?
Well, pretty smartly, actually. They needed a substitute fast. So they hired Irving Vendig.
The name sounds familiar.
He was a top writer on the Perry Mason radio show.
Eh.
So he knew that world inside out. His job was basically to create a functional copy, a thinly veiled version of the Mason concept.
And The Edge of Night was born from that.
Pretty much. And to really hammer home the connection for the audience, they cast John Larkin as the lead, Mike Carr.
And Larkin was.
He was the voice most people associated with Perry Mason on the radio.
Clever. So couldn't get the official brand, but they got the structure, the themes, and the voice people recognized.
Exactly. It defined Eon N right from the start as this hybrid genre thing, completely different from anything else on daytime TV at the time.
Focused almost entirely on crime, mystery, the legal process.
Yeah, not the usual domestic dramas or relationship tangles. The fictional city, Monticello, became this place where you had, and I'm quoting here, a steady onslaught of gangsters, drug dealers, blackmailers, cultists, international spies, corrupt politicians, psychopaths, and murderous debutantes.
Wow. Not exactly Mayberry. Crime wasn't just an element, it was the whole point.
It was the air they breathed, narratively speaking.
That must have been incredibly hard to sustain, though, 5 days a week for decades. Churning out plausible, high-stakes crime stories without getting totally repetitive or just unbelievable.
That was the tightrope walk, wasn't it? They couldn't just do simple whodunits every week, because sometimes a single trial storyline might need to run for, like, 6 months.
So how did they manage it?
They really leaned into the serialized aspect. It wasn't just about solving the crime, it was about the aftermath. The investigation, the arrest, the trial itself, sure, but then the sentencing, prison life, the impact on the families.
So they kept that soap opera emotional core, the focus on consequences.
Right, while using the crime procedural element as the engine driving everything forward.
And this unique approach actually got formal recognition, didn't it? Something no other soap achieved.
It did. In 1980, the Mystery Writers of America gave The Edge of Night a special Edgar Award.
An Edgar for a soap opera.
Yeah, specifically for maintaining that high standard of crime and mystery storytelling for 25 years. It was a huge validation that they were doing something genuinely different and doing it well within the tough constraints of daily production.
Now, the sources also mentioned something maybe unexpected for a crime show. Genuine humor. How did that fit in? It doesn't sound very noir.
It was actually crucial, I think, for the audience. Watching nonstop murder plots and legal peril 5 days a week could get really heavy, really fast.
Right, you need a release valve.
Exactly. The humor often came from quirky supporting characters, or sometimes the dry wit exchange between the main guys, like Mike Carr and Police Chief Bill Marceau. It gave moments of lightness, made the characters feel more rounded, more human, despite the constant stress.
And one last key point about its structure. The prominence of male characters. Very unusual for daytime back then.
Hugely unusual. Most soaps centered on female relationships, domestic life. But because Eon's plots revolved around crime and the justice system,
The lawyers, the cops, the DAs.
they were naturally the ones driving the action. Characters like Mike Carr, Bill Marceau, later Adam Drake. Their professional lives were the story. And this strong male presence was a huge factor in attracting that large male audience we talked about earlier.
Which set the stage for both its incredible success and, eventually, some of its biggest problems.
Okay, so let's really picture this place, Monticello. It's this fictional Midwestern city. It needed to feel, kind of ordinary on the surface.
Charming, even, like a place you'd want to live.
Right. But underneath, always dangerous. Always that potential for crime erupting.
And they kept it deliberately vague, geographically.
Very vague. The state was never named. The capital was just Capital City.
Why do that?
It made the stories feel more universal, I think. Like this kind of hidden darkness could exist in any seemingly normal American town. It wasn't tied to one specific place.
But visually, at least early on, there was a specific connection, a little nod to the show's owners.
Yeah, Procter & Gamble was headquartered in Cincinnati. So for the first couple of decades, until about 1980, the actual downtown Cincinnati skyline was used as the establishing shot for Monticello.
Subtle. Gives it a bit of real-world grounding.
It did. Later on, they briefly used the LA skyline and then eventually just dropped the skyline shot altogether. By then, Monticello was probably so vivid in viewers' minds, they didn't need that visual cue anymore.
And holding that world together, the moral center, was Mike Carr. Played mostly by John Larkin in those early years. His career path alone tells a story.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Mike Carr was the Perry Mason stand-in, that relentless crime fighter, and his career progression was, frankly, a brilliant way for the writers to keep things fresh over the years.
He wasn't always the DA, right?
No, he started out as a police detective who was finishing law school. So you got those street-level investigation stories early on.
Okay.
Then he became an assistant district attorney, so he was prosecuting cases. Then, for a long stretch, he was a defense attorney.
Which is classic Perry Mason territory. Defending the underdog, finding the real killer in court.
Exactly. That phase gave them all that juicy courtroom drama. It also let them explore more moral gray areas, defending people who looked guilty but might not be.
Right.
But eventually, they brought him back to the other side. He finished his run as the elected district attorney of Monticello.
So he basically experienced the entire justice system from every angle.
Pretty much. It meant the show could shift its focus: investigation, defense, prosecution, without ever losing that central figure, Mike Carr, as the anchor.
Now, before we get into the plot specifics, we have to mention the sound of the show. That opening.
Oh, iconic. That announcer just booming. The Age of Night.
Yeah. You knew exactly what show it was. Instant atmosphere, drama, suspense.
Totally. The two main voices people remember doing that were Harry Kramer for about the first 15 years or so.
Okay.
And then Hal Sims, who took over and did it right through to the end in '84. That opening was like a promise. Buckle up. This isn't going to be gentle.
So let's talk about the 1950s drama. Mike Carr's first big relationship with Sarah Lane, played by Teal Ames. It wasn't simple from the start.
No, it was deliberately complicated. Their dynamic was very much modeled on Perry Mason and Della Street. Sarah was his loyal secretary, his confidante.
I thought there was a catch.
A big one. Sarah's family was tangled up with organized crime in Monticello. Her uncle, Harry Lane, was corrupt, and he dragged her younger brother, Jack, into it too.
So Mike, the symbol of justice, is married into a family with criminal ties. Classic conflict.
Absolutely. That tension fueled a lot of the early storylines. How does he uphold the law when his own family by marriage is involved in breaking it?
Did they find any happiness?
They did marry, but it was tragically brief. Sarah was killed,
Oh, wow.
saving their young daughter, Lori Ann. The little girl ran out into the street, into the path of a car, and Sarah pushed her out of the way but was hit herself.
Devastating. And that really set a tone, didn't it, that nobody was safe.
Nobody, even the main love interest, could be killed off. It showed the stakes were real in Monticello.
And that tragic event, Sarah's death, had long-lasting consequences through Lori Ann.
Oh, hugely. Lori Ann became the living link to Mike's past, his loss, and crucially, the show let her age in real time.
So viewers watched her grow up.
Yeah, from a child in the 50s through being a teenager in the 60s, eventually becoming a wife and mother herself in the 70s. She provided this continuous thread of family drama running alongside all the crime plots for decades.
Mike Carr did find love again, though, with Nancy Pollock, played by Ann Flood, and her profession was significant, too.
Right. Nancy was a journalist, which, again, cleverly tied Mike's personal life directly into his professional one.
She wasn't just waiting at home.
No, she was often involved in his cases because of her job. She was smart, capable, more of a partner in his investigations than just a supportive spouse. It was a strong female role that fit the show's crime focus.
And we can't talk about the Foundation without mentioning Mike's key ally in law enforcement.
Police Chief Bill Marceau, played by Mamble Kramer for years. Their relationship was really something special.
How so?
The source material calls it a relationship of tremendous mutual respect. And that was rare, especially in fiction, to see that kind of solid, trusting friendship between the DA or the defense attorney, depending on the era, and the chief of police.
Usually they're antagonists, or at least rivals.
Often, yeah. But Mike and Bill, they were this bedrock of integrity for Monticello. It showed that even with all the corruption swirling around, the guys at the top of the justice system were united in trying to do the right thing.
Okay, so the Foundation is set in the 50s. The 60s and 70s seem to be where Eon On really hit its stride with these incredibly complex, long-running crime sagas. And we have to talk about the Nicole Travis storyline. It sounds like the quintessential Eon plot.
It really is. The Nicole Travis saga perfectly captures that blend of like deep-seated soap opera revenge motives with a really meticulous Perry Mason-style legal drama.
It centers around another lawyer character, Adam Drake.
Yeah, Adam Drake, played by Donald May. He's defending Nicole Travis, played initially by Maeve Maguire, who starts as his client, then becomes his secretary, and eventually more. But the whole thing kicks off because someone is out for revenge against Nicole.
And the roots of that revenge go way back.
Way back into Nicole's family history. This woman, Stephanie Martin, Alice Hirson played her, is terrorizing Nicole. Why? Because years ago, Nicole's gangster father ordered the brakes cut on a car.
Oh, wow.
That caused an accident that killed Stephanie's husband and one of her children. Only Stephanie and her other daughter, Debbie, survived. And the trauma of it all struck Debbie mute.
So Stephanie blames Nicole for her father's actions.
Exactly. Since the father is safely locked away in prison, Stephanie targets the daughter. She even gets a job working for Nicole, getting closer and closer.
Setting the stage for the confrontation, and then the murder frame up.
It's brilliantly staged. Stephanie's working late one night. Alone in the shop, she runs with Nicole. Someone comes in and stabs her in the back.
Just as Nicole arrives.
Moments later, Nicole walks in, sees Stephanie dying, dagger in her back. And Debbie, the mute daughter, who was asleep nearby, wakes up, sees the scene.
And finds her voice.
Just long enough. In that moment of pure shock and horror, seeing her mother like that, she screams at Nicole, "Pull it out, pull it out."
Oh no, and Nicole does.
She does. She pulls the dagger out, gets her fingerprints all over the murder weapon.
Just as the police arrive, presumably?
You got it. Nicole's arrested, holding the weapon. And poor Debbie. The second shock slams her right back into silence. Mute again.
Leaving Adam Drake with what looks like an absolutely impossible case to defend.
Totally impossible. Client caught red-handed, history of conflict with the victim, the only witness can't speak. It forces Adam into this really high-risk defense strategy that relies on psychology and courtroom theatrics.
He figures the only way out is to get Debbie to talk again, right?
Yeah.
To reveal who she really saw. How does he even attempt that?
He realizes Debbie has formed a really strong, trusting bond with her therapist. Adam needs a shock big enough to break through that traumatic muteness again.
So what does he do?
In the middle of the trial, in front of the jury, he takes this enormous gamble. He stands up and falsely accuses Debbie's own therapist of the murder.
What? That's incredibly risky. Ethically dubious, even.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
But calculated. He banked on Debbie's instinct to protect her therapist being stronger than the psychological block keeping her silent.
And did it work?
It did. It was this shocking moment. Debbie finds her voice again, defending the therapist. But that wasn't even the final twist.
There's more.
Adam then shows Debbie a picture of Nicole, asks if she was the killer. Debbie says no.
So who does she finger?
Still on the stand, she points into the gallery directly at Adam Drake's own ex-wife, Pamela Stewart.
His ex-wife did it. Why?
Pure jealousy. Pamela could see Adam was falling for Nicole. She went there that night intending to kill Nicole, but in the dimly lit shop, she stabbed Stephanie by mistake, thinking it was her rival.
Wow. Layers upon layers. Revenge, mistaken identity, psychological trauma, a false accusation that works. That's peak EON complexity.
Absolutely. It shows how they could weave intricate legal plots together with those classic soap motivations and sustain it for months.
So Adam and Nicole finally get together, they marry. But knowing the show, happiness probably didn't last long.
Not in Monticello, no. Another crisis hits in the 70s. Nicole is on a boat trip. There's an accident. She's presumed dead.
The classic soap trope. Presumed dead.
Yep. Adam Greaves moves on. And eventually, about 18 months later, he proposes to someone else. Assistant DA Brandy Henderson.
Played by a young Dixie Carter, the sources say.
That's right. So Adam's about to remarry, get his life back together.
And Nicole turns up alive. Of course she does.
Found alive in France, no less. So now Adam is caught in this impossible situation.
Who does he choose?
Well, legally and morally, he's still married to Nicole. So the next 6 months or so of story focused on the delicate process of unwinding the Adam-Brandy relationship.
Letting Dixie Carter exit gracefully.
Right. And Adam and Nicole finally reunite. But even that reunion wasn't forever. Adam himself was murdered later on.
Monticello always gets its due, doesn't it?
Seems like it. After Adam's death, Nicole eventually finds love again, this time with Dr. Miles Cavanaugh, the medical examiner. But there was an interesting casting thing here.
What was that?
Well, the original actress playing Nicole, Maeve McGuire, was actually only 4 years older than the actor playing Miles. The producers decided to replace her.
Why?
They brought in a new actress who was 10 years younger than Miles. The thinking, apparently, was that they wanted to make a really clean break from all the baggage of Nicole's past storylines with Adam, signaling a completely fresh start.
That's quite a statement about prioritizing the character archetype over the specific actor people knew. Did the fresh start save her?
Sadly, no. Years down the line, Nicole had reinvented herself again, become a successful TV news anchor in Monticello.
And then?
Murdered. Poison makeup powder this time. Just when things seemed stable. Bam. The villains were always lurking.
Okay, shifting gears to the next generation. Mike Carr's daughter, Lori-Ann. Her story continued through the 70s, and it sounds just as complicated.
Oh, Lori-Ann's life was just one long series of tragedies and messy situations, really.
Right.
She married Vic Lamont.
Okay.
But then Vic had to go undercover for the police inside prison. While there, his life was saved by another inmate, a guy named Johnny Dallas.
Seeds of complication planted.
Definitely.
Okay.
Johnny gets out, opens a restaurant, the New Moon Cafe. Lori-Ann starts playing piano there.
While Vic is still undercover.
Yeah, and she and Johnny get close, really close.
Vic finds out, I assume.
He does, and things get messy. Vic, who had his own issues, ends up leaving Lori, marries someone else impulsively. But the whole thing ends in classic EIN fashion.
How? More tragedy.
Vic gets murdered, shot during a supposed holdup at Johnny's restaurant, the New Moon Cafe.
Okay.
But here's the twist. Vic died saving Johnny's life in that holdup. And the holdup itself? It was staged to confirm that Johnny Dallas had actually been working undercover with Vic the whole time.
Oh my God. So Vic died protecting the guy he thought stole his wife, only to find out they were essentially on the same side.
Exactly. The ultimate tragic irony.
So Lori and Johnny get together after that.
They do. They marry, have a son, John Victor. But even then, no happy ending. The stress, the trauma,
Yeah.
it all caught up with Lori.
What happened to her?
She developed serious mental health problems, ended up being institutionalized, and Johnny, completely broken by it all, just ran away.
Wow. It really shows the toll Monticello took. Eonon wasn't afraid to depict permanent damage, was it?
Not at all. Crime wasn't just a plot device. It had real, lasting, devastating consequences for the core families.
Yeah.
No easy fixes, no guaranteed happily ever afters.
Okay, before we get to the network switch and decline, there's one more major storyline from the later years we need to cover, the Rexford Clinic. Sounds like high-stakes suspense.
Oh, this was peak 80s EON. Really suspenseful stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Nancy Carr, Mike's wife, and a bunch of other main characters end up being held captive at this place, the Rexford Clinic.
What was it?
On the surface, a fancy plastic surgery hospital. But underneath, it was a front for all sorts of illegal activities, and the people running it were dangerous.
So Nancy and the others are trapped.
Trapped and facing execution. The criminals, Matt Sharkey and this woman, Beth, are about to kill them all.
Yeah.
Nancy, Draper, a pregnant April. The tension was ratcheted way up for weeks,
How do they get out of it?
with one of the most audacious reveals in the show's history. Just as the villains are about to pull the trigger, one of their own guys, this mysterious figure known only as Gideon, turns on them.
An inside man.
More than that, he dramatically peels off layers of bandages and makeup from his face.
Revealing.
Mike Carr
No. The DA himself was undercover inside the clinic.
had gone completely deep cover, apparently submitted to plastic surgery himself to infiltrate the organization and save everyone.
That's incredible. Like something out of a spy movie.
Totally. A huge heroic moment for Mike Carr. It showed that even towards the end, EON could still deliver these spectacular, high-concept crime plots with massive payoffs.
All right, now we need to pivot from the on-screen drama to the behind-the-scenes business drama, because Edge of Night's story is also a classic example of how network decisions can completely change a show's fate. We know it started strong.
Oh, huge success right out of the gate. 9 million viewers in its first year. People recognized that Perry Mason vibe, and it worked. Through the 60s, it was consistently a top-rated soap.
But the really unique thing, as we touched on, was who was watching.
Yeah, that demographic breakdown. At its peak, estimates suggested over 50% of the audience was male.
Which was just unheard of for daytime TV then.
Completely. Daytime was aimed squarely at women, homemakers primarily. EON pulled in men. Partly the crime format, definitely. But the other crucial piece was the time slot.
It aired late in the afternoon.
4:30 p.m. Eastern for many years. That meant teenagers getting home from school could catch it, and, critically, men working standard daytime shifts could often get home in time to watch before the evening news.
So it wasn't just a male audience, it was a valuable working male audience. Advertisers must have loved that.
They did. Even if its overall household rating wasn't always #1, EON could command premium ad rates because it delivered this demographic nobody else could reliably reach in the afternoon.
Which makes what happened in 1972 seem even crazier, the time slot disaster.
Devastating.
Yeah.
And it came down to corporate strategy, really. Procter & Gamble, the sponsor who owned EON and several other soaps,
Right.
they wanted all their shows to run in a solid block on CBS, for scheduling neatness, presumably. So they pressured CBS, and on September 11, 1972, the network moved EON.
From where to where?
From its successful 3:30 p.m. slot. They'd moved it slightly earlier by then, but still caught that after-school, after-work crowd all the way up to 2:30 p.m.
Ouch. Way too early for those key viewers.
Exactly. The impact was immediate and brutal. Ratings just tanked.
How bad was it?
It fell from being around 4th place among all daytime soaps down to 10th. Suddenly, it was CBS's lowest-rated soap opera. That core audience. Gone. They were still at work or school at 2.30.
Sacrificing a unique, valuable audience for scheduling tidiness seems short-sighted.
In retrospect, absolutely.
Yeah.
So fast forward a few years to 1975, EON's ratings are still in the basement. CBS is looking to expand its bigger hits, like As the World Turns, give them more airtime.
And the low-rated Edge of Night looked expendable.
CBS told P&G they weren't renewing it. That could have been the end right there.
But P&G owned the show outright, didn't they?
They did. So they weren't just going to let it die. They started shopping it around. And ABC, which was trying to build up its own daytime schedule, saw an opportunity.
ABC agreed to pick it up.
Yes, and crucially, ABC was willing to put it back in the late afternoon slot, 4 p.m. Eastern, where it had always done best.
And that move itself made history.
A huge moment. The Edge of Night became the very first daytime serial ever to switch broadcast networks.
Imagine the logistics of moving an entire daily production like that.
Must have been intense.
Yeah.
It debuted on ABC on December 1st, 1975.
Did ABC try to relaunch it with a bang?
Oh, yeah. They aired a special 90-minute premiere, and they made sure to pick up right where CBS left off, resolving all the major cliffhangers immediately.
Like what?
Well, the whole Nicole's actually alive reveal happened. They showed Geraldine Whitney, who'd been pushed down the stairs lying in a coma, and there was this incredibly dramatic sequence with Serena Faraday.
Who had an alternate personality.
Right, this dangerous alter ego called Josie. In the premiere, Josie shoots and kills Serena's husband right on the courthouse steps.
Talk about starting strong. ABC was signaling the crime and drama were back.
Definitely. They wanted everyone to know the show hadn't lost its edge. But almost immediately, they hit a different kind of roadblock.
What was that?
Affiliate trouble. While ABC Network was committed, a lot of their local stations, especially in big markets, didn't want to carry the show at 4 p.m.
Why not?
Because they were already running profitable syndicated shows or local news programming in that slot. They made more money off those than the network feed.
So even though it was back at the right time, people in major cities might not have even been able to watch it.
Exactly. The show's clearance, the percentage of network stations actually airing it, dropped significantly. So even where it did air at 4.0 and ratings improved locally, the overall national rating stayed lower than it should have been. It was constantly fighting an uphill battle against preemption.
Still, the writers kept delivering, right? The ABC years had some big storylines, like Raven and Sky.
Oh yeah, the Raven and Sky saga became central in the later ABC years. Charlotte Raven Alexander, played by Sharon Gabbett, and Sky Whitney, played by Larkin Malloy, a classic tempestuous soap couple.
Raven started out as a villain.
Kind of a scheming gold digger type. But her first marriage had this absolutely wild imposter plot.
What happened?
She married a guy she thought was Sky Whitney. But the real Sky had supposedly died in a plane crash. The man she married was actually an old pal of Sky's, Jefferson Brown, who'd had plastic surgery to look exactly like him.
You're kidding. Why? To get the Whitney fortune.
Presumably. And this fake Sky Jeff was much more dangerous. He even tried to have Raven killed. Hired a hitman named Romeo Slade.
Romeo Slade. Great name.
Isn't it? But then Jeff had second thoughts, maybe some twisted affection for Raven, came back, and ended up killing the hitman himself.
What happened to Jeff?
His end came during a confrontation in Switzerland. He tried to throw Raven off a mountain or something, but he got shot by a sniper who'd been hunting him.
So Raven returns home, thinking she's the wealthy widow, Whitney.
Ready to inherit everything,
Yes.
And that's exactly when the real Sky Whitney shows up, alive and well.
Well, perfect soap timing.
Totally blows up her plans. He reclaims his life, kicks her out. But of course, this being a soap opera.
They eventually fall in love for real.
Their intense hatred turned to passion. They ended up getting married. That whole saga really carried the show through a big chunk of the early 80s.
But despite stories like that, the ratings overall just kept struggling, still because of the affiliates.
Mostly, yeah. There was a little bump around 81, 82. But from 82 onward, the decline was sharp. More and more ABC stations dropped the show.
Why then specifically?
That was when syndicated shows, especially game shows like the new version of Jeopardy, became huge moneymakers for local stations in that 4 p.m. time slot. They could sell local ads for much more money during Jeopardy than they could during Edge of Night.
So the network drama just couldn't compete financially at the local level?
Pretty much, it was being squeezed out. By the fall of 1984, EON was only being carried on about half of ABC's affiliates, 106 out of 213.
That must have destroyed P&G's revenue.
It did. With so few stations carrying it, the advertising income just wasn't enough to cover the production costs anymore. It wasn't really a creative failure, it was an economic one.
Leading to the inevitable announcement.
Yeah, in October '84, ABC and P&G jointly announced the show would end. The final episode was set for December 28th. And somewhere in those last years, they'd even shortened the title slightly, just to Edge of Night.
which brings us to the end, or rather the lack of an end. The final episode of Edge of Night is famous, maybe infamous, for not wrapping things up.
Right. They deliberately chose to end on a massive, ominous cliffhanger. It's like a final statement. The crime, the danger in Monticello, it never really stops.
How did they set that up? Wasn't there a wedding or something?
Yeah, the episode before the last one featured the wedding of Dr. Miles Cavanaugh and Beth. So the finale itself starts with this feeling of celebration, reconciliation. People are giving toasts. Sky and Raven are happy with their new baby. Mike Carr even has this line about feeling a fitting completeness to the day.
Lulling the audience into a false sense of security.
Exactly. It's the calm before the storm. And the storm starts with an old ghost returning.
Who was it?
Louis Van Dyne. An old adversary Mike Carr thought he'd put away in prison years ago. He's back in Monticello looking for revenge. And this immediately pulls in police detective Chris Egan.
How does she get involved?
She follows Louis's sister, Alicia Van Dyne, down this street Chris has never seen before. This weird, hidden place called Wonderland Lane.
Wonderland Lane. Okay, the theme is starting.
Oh, yeah. And there's an antique shop there called M. Hatter Antiques. It's very deliberate.
What happens on Wonderland Lane?
Inside the shop, Chris witnesses Louis Van Dyne viciously stab his own sister, Alicia. And as Alicia is dying, she supposedly gasps out to Chris.
Let me guess.
Off with her head.
Yeah.
Straight out of Lewis Carroll.
Chillin'. And it doesn't stop there, right? Another villain returns.
Right after the stabbing, Chris is grabbed by Donald Hext.
Hext, the guy Skye Whitney supposedly killed in a sword fight.
The very same. Apparently not so dead. Chris manages to fight him off and escape Wonderland Lane. As she stumbled out, she falls near the street sign, drops her purse right next to a stuffed white rabbit that's propped up there.
The white rabbit. Okay, this is getting surreal. What happens when she gets help?
This is the classic creepy part. She comes back with 2 uniformed cops, points to where Wonderland Lane was.
Right.
And there's just a solid brick wall with an iron gate, no street.
Gone? Vanished?
Completely. The cops are like, Wonderland Lane, never heard of it. They think she's crazy, hallucinating.
But there's proof she wasn't.
Exactly. Right there on the pavement, where the street should be, are her dropped purse and the stuffed white rabbit. Tangible evidence that something happened. One of the cops even makes a dark joke about the rabbit being late for a very important date.
So it falls to Mike Carr, the DA, to make sense of this madness.
He listens to Chris's frantic story. Van Dien's return, the murder, Hext being alive, the vanishing street. And Mike, being Mike, recognizes this isn't delusion. It's the start of something new, something big and dangerous that needs investigation.
And the show's actual final moments, how did they signify the story goes on?
Powerfully. We see Mike Carr get on the phone. We don't hear his words, but it's clear he's rallying his team, telling his investigator Calvin to get back out there, pursue this. And as he's talking silently, the show's dramatic theme music swells up.
Implying the work continues, even if we can't watch anymore.
Precisely. The fight for justice in Monticello never ends.
And wasn't there one last little stinger scene?
Yeah, the very last shot. Sky and Raven are at home in the Whitney mansion. They hear something at the door. They open it. Nobody's there. But on the ground lies a single fencing foil.
Like the one Skye used against Hex.
Exactly. A final, chilling sign that the danger is now right on their doorstep. The past isn't dead, and the story is far from over.
It's an incredibly bold way to end a show after nearly 30 years. Why do it? Why leave the fans hanging like that?
It wasn't really intended as the absolute final word, apparently. It was more of a strategic move by Procter & Gamble.
How so?
They didn't fully accept that December 28, 1984 was the end. They deliberately left those huge cliffhangers because they genuinely believed they could find another home for the show. Maybe a cable network which was just starting to grow, or maybe take it into first-run syndication.
So they wanted a hot storyline ready to go if they got a pickup.
Exactly. They wanted to be able to resume production immediately without missing a beat. But it just didn't happen.
The timing wasn't right.
The economics weren't right. Producing a daily drama like Eon was still very expensive, probably too expensive for fledgling cable networks back then. And first-run syndication for dramas was a tough market. So the Wonderland Lane mystery just remained unsolved forever.
Adding insult to injury, a lot of the show's actual history is lost too, right? The early episodes.
Tragically, yes. Especially the CBS years. Back then, broadcasting live was common, and studios routinely wiped and reused videotapes to save money. That practice continued until about 1978.
So most of the 50s and 60s episodes.
Gone. Wiped. Only about 45 episodes from the entire CBS run, black and white and early color, are known to survive. It's a huge loss for TV history.
Did fans ever get to see any of it again?
Well, the later ABC episodes from the 80s run did get reruns. The USA Network aired episodes from about 1981 to 1984 for several years, between 85 and 89. So that final era is somewhat preserved.
So when you look back at its whole run, Edge of Night's legacy is really about pushing boundaries.
Absolutely. It maintained this high-stakes crime drama format for almost 3 decades, which is incredible. It broke all the unwritten rules of what daytime TV was supposed to be.
It proved you could do sophisticated procedural plots in the afternoon.
Right. It merged that emotional core people expect from a serial with the kind of rigorous plotting you'd find in a good mystery novel or legal thriller. And it got recognized for it winning that Edgar Award and a Primetime Emmy for Daytime Drama Achievement back in '73. That's a rare combination.
It found an audience that wanted more than just romance and family arguments.
It attracted viewers who wanted justice, who wanted suspense, who wanted to think along with the characters. It really broadened the definition of what a soap opera could be. The Edge of Night wasn't just a soap. It was a world where danger and desire walked hand in hand. It reminded us that truth and justice always cast the longest shadows.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. If you enjoyed revisiting The Edge of Night, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And tell us in the comments which classic soap opera should we explore next.